Welcome to this tutorial for speedrunning King's Quest IV. I'll be walking through any percent, but 100% is really similar, so I'll call out the differences as we go along. We use QuanVM as our emulator for running the game because it runs the game a lot faster than the standard ScumVM you would get with your GOG distribution or however else you're getting your game files. So I'll put information for setting that up in the description. Before we start, I want to talk a little bit about movement in the game. You'll want to use the arrow keys as much as feasible because switching in between the keyboard and mouse and moving the mouse position to the right location takes a little bit of time each time that can really add up throughout the run. Unfortunately, I don't have a keyboard with diagonal arrow keys, so I rely on the mouse a lot for diagonal movement. Because of that, I won't get into the weeds for specific movement in individual rooms because what I do isn't always optimal, but I will call out sections where I think using the mouse could be faster or at least much safer than using just arrow keys. Time starts when Rosella makes her first movement, so there's a bunch of stuff that we can set up before that point. One thing we can do is set up a save file that we'll use for the run. So if we hit F5, it'll bring up the save menu, and I call mine run save, so you can call yours whatever you want. Next thing we want to do is crank up the speed, so you can get there through the escape menu or hitting Control S. Crank that up all the way to the right. We can also buffer our first command, which is going to be look under bridge. So whenever we have something in the input box, and the input box goes away either from hitting enter or escape, when we next hit the spacebar, it'll retype whatever we had in our input box. So we'll use that here as well as several points throughout the run. And finally, if you're using diagonal arrow keys, you can prepare a mouse position for clicking on the golden ball to get there more directly. If you see these two dots on the beach, you can put your mouse cursor halfway in between those, and that should be a perfect point to click when you get to that screen. So with that, we're ready to start our run. So we'll hit the right arrow key as well as the starter for our timer at the same time. On our way to getting the ball, we want to determine where the unicorn is, and it can spawn on one of three screens, either this river screen, one north of it, or one to the right of it. And it will stay on the same screen for the duration of the game, unless you stay on its screen long enough for it to get spooked and run off. But we'll be moving fast, so that won't be an issue. If the unicorn's at the river, you're good to go straight to the ball. There's a loading zone that you can take that's right of this gray dot in the river that will actually take you diagonally to the bridge screen. If the unicorn is not at the river, as we see here, we can go one screen right. And here we see that the unicorn is on the right screen. If it's not here, you can deduce that it's at the screen north of the river. So we'll keep a mental note that it's to the right and then go up to the ball. And we'll want to use our prepared click to get to the ball, but we also don't want to hit this rock. So we'll go right just far enough to clear the rock and then click to get there. Press space to retype our look under bridge command and enter. We get a bunch of these text boxes throughout the game that we dismiss with enter. A quick way to get rid of these instantly, in most cases, is to be holding enter before the text box appears. For text boxes that you can dismiss, we'll dismiss them right away. Next, we want to go to the dwarf house. And to get there in a nice way, we can run up into this bush, and that will line us up with the dwarf house door. So we'll go right, and then we're in this nice line to get to the door. Now, one thing to know about the game is that different objects have different distances that you need to be from them in order to interact with them. And knowing what that distance is can save you some time. In this case, to interact with the door, you just need to be at the edge, and you can type open door, and that's good enough. Here, we can hit tidy, and that'll start everybody's favorite cutscene. And although you have to sit around doing nothing a lot in this run, there are things you can do during cutscenes. The first thing here is that there is one text box that you'll have to dismiss, and that happens right after she's done sweeping. So now I'll hold enter, and that dismissed that text box that popped up really quickly. Otherwise, it would stay on screen for several seconds before it auto-dismissed. So here we're sitting around waiting for these dwarves to eat their soup. But there are a couple things we can do. One is to physically record where we saw the unicorn, because it'll be a long time before we use that information. And, you know, if you're doing several runs in a row, it can be very easy to forget where you saw the unicorn on this particular run. So what I do is just take a pen and point the pen in the direction of where I saw the unicorn, either pointing up, pointing right, or pointing bottom left. So you can come up with whatever scheme works for you. The other thing we can do while we're waiting for the soup eating is to prepare another mouse position. In fact, you can prepare a mouse click on every cutscene in the game. So a good place to prepare it is on this dwarf's hat, and that'll help us with climbing the mountain path, which is the next place you'll definitely want to use your mouse for. So if you hold it over his hat like so, where you can see the two yellow triangles, that should be just about perfect. The first thing we're going to be doing once the cutscene is over is dismissing a text box, and that'll pop up right after the last dwarf leaves, so make sure you're holding enter by that point, but for right now we can just chill. After we dismiss the text box, we'll be picking up the pouch of gems. And the game has a set of synonyms for every object in the game. And so a part of moving quickly in the game is typing the most efficient phrasing for things. To get the pouch, we can simply move straight down or down left if you have the diagonal. And the pouch can also be called a gem. So we can type get gem and peace out. Next we'll move here to this forest. Now this ramp is a little tricky to get up because it's easy to fall off, but if you are up against this ledge and go right, and then as soon as you're up the ramp, hit up, you should be good to go. If you go too far right, you'll fall off and be dizzy, and that's not great. And then we'll want to be going to this mansion, and so if we hit the right side of this tree, that'll access the loading zone. So we'll try to do that there, and then go on inside. So there are a lot of these side doors throughout the game that we'll need to walk through, and they can be a real pain in the butt to enter. So how I usually approach them is to come from the bottom and try to move up into the top side of it. Not like that, but like that. When we get to this room, if we can, we'll want to try to go up into the rightmost part of the mantle here and do get book. And if we're at the far right here, we can get the book and still be in front of the mantle and have free movement left and right. If we go up into the bookshelf here, we'll be stuck, which we'll have to recover by going down and then back up into the mantle. Once we have the book, we can type look picture, and then we can do a cool trick called noun stacking. So the input parser has an interesting attribute where it will ignore all except for the last noun in the command. So for look picture wall, it will interpret this as look wall, completely ignoring this term picture here. And we can use this trick anytime we are reusing a verb. So we type in look picture, and then we can hit space to quickly retype look, and then space again with wall. We'll use that several times throughout the run. So once we've done look wall, we can say flip lock. Here we can get spade. And now we'll make our way over to meet Lolotte for the first time. And we'll need to climb this mountain path. I definitely recommend using mouse clicks because this is very deadly. I click just above this gray dot anytime I'm moving up and down this path. Then you can click up near the top, hit right, and you can move up the path a bit, save a fraction of a second before the goons grab you. Anytime you're talking to Lolotte, you can hold enter to skip through what she says pretty fast. Here we'll be waiting in the cell for 20 or 30 seconds. You can stand here to save a tiny bit of time when the goons come in, and when they do come in, you'll want to be holding enter. We can also prepare a mouse click directly under this chain at the edge of the screen to click on the worm. Alternatively, you could prepare a mouse click for aligning yourself to move along the cliff to the mine. Alright, so here we can go left, and the worm is RNG, so we got him on the first try here, but if you don't get him, you can cycle the screen right, just over and over until you get him again. And if you're too slow and it goes away, you can just cycle the screen again and try. So here we move to the worm and type get worm, or actually, the last thing we had typed was get spade. So if we do a noun stack, we can do get spade worm. That'll work. This path is very narrow, so I like to click those dots to line myself up and hit left. And we'll go in the mine. So there's two strategies to getting to the mine floor. One, you can just throw yourself off the cliff to the right, and that works perfectly fine, but you'll be dizzy for a while. So it is a bit faster to walk down the ramp. It is just very precise, getting a smooth diagonal down the ramp. Where I click is there, and then you can click anywhere down the ramp. And then we'll go talk to this dude, and you need to stand kind of just in front of him. I usually go for right in front of the bucket of gems and do give gem. And he'll give us the lantern, and I like to just light lamp right away because I'm very prone to forgetting to light it when I'm at the cave, so I just do it right now so I don't have to think about it. So then we'll leave the mine. And I click slightly differently to where I click when I'm coming down. I click this black dot just above where I clicked before, and then we can click back up and drop down. So here we get to the next really cool trick in the game, which is screen transition warping. Now, usually when you move from one screen to another, Rosella will maintain her position, more or less, but that's not always the case on every screen transition. And a good example of that is this bottom screen here at the mine. When we go down, it'll take us to the ogre house, but notice when we hit down here, it took us all the way to the left side of the screen. So now that the ogre's not here, we can stay. So despite being all the way at the right, it'll warp us all the way at the left. And this usually happens on screens where there's some huge obstacle like this big house. And we can use it throughout the run to minimize the amount of walking distance we have to go. From the mine, we'll be heading to Cupid, and so we can use that warp to skip some distance. There could be the ogre here, but it doesn't really matter because we'll be going straight left right away, so he can't catch us. Here, Cupid is RNG. If he doesn't appear, like we see here, we can just cycle the room right. And you want to wait about a second each cycle, because that's about the amount of time that it takes for Cupid to come. And if you see Cupid, you don't want to move right away, because if you move too soon, he'll see you and get startled and fly off. But as soon as he's above the water, you're good to move to the bow position. And he'll even land right on top of you and put down his bow and then get startled and fly off. So once we do that, we can do get bow. And be really careful here because it's super easy to fall into the pool. So I click around it and hit down. And then we'll move down, and you can kind of see these pixels flashing to see where Rosella is behind this tree. And then we'll come around the tree, and then we'll want to exit down to the frog pond, but we'll want to be over here in this light brownish patch because that'll set us up in this gap so we won't get stuck behind these trees. Then we'll want to click right at the edge of the pond right there, because when we put ball, we can stand here and then get the frog without having to make an extra movement. So we'll do get frog. And here's the first difference between any percent and 100%. So for any percent, we can do a noun stack and say get crown. And we get the crown right away. If you're going for 100%, you'll want to say kiss it. So to kiss the frog, But we don't want to do that for any percent because then the frog will turn into a prince and then you have to talk to the prince, so it takes extra time, but it does give you extra points, so you'll want to do that for 100%. Next we'll go to the minstrel, and he is RNG, so if he's not here, just cycle the screen right until he appears. And we can actually talk to him while standing behind him and say, give book. And we'll hold enter through his Shakespearean rant, and as soon as he starts moving, we can go up to Pan. So Pan is also RNG, and you can cycle the screen till you see him. One thing to note about him, though, is that if you see him and then leave the screen, the game will have a timer going for 20 seconds, where no matter how much you cycle the screen, Pan will not appear for those 20 seconds. So just keep that in mind. If you see him and then accidentally cycle the screen, you can just move on because there's another point in the route where we'll be visiting a Pan screen again. But since we got him here, we'll say play loot. And this is actually great positioning because we don't have to make any extra movement. And we can hold enter here until the notes stop appearing. And walk over and say give it. So the parser in the game will allow us to replace the last noun that we've entered with the word it. So the last command we said was play loot. So we can say give it to mean give loot. And then next we'll go to the fisherman. So here we meet the fisherman, and we need to actually sit through his whole cycle until he's all the way off screen and we can follow him. While we're waiting, we can kind of prep a mouse click for climbing the tongue, but it's all blue, so it's not super precise. So we'll follow him. Make sure the door is fully closed before typing open door, or else it won't let you in, and you'll need to wait to see the door close, and then you can type open door. So we'll do give gem. Then we're going to go fish. So as we're walking, we can say bait pole. Now fishing is RNG, and doing it normally, it can really be a huge time swing if you have failed attempts, but we can actually mitigate how bad the RNG is using something called save cycling. It takes about 5 seconds of fishing before Rosella will pull up the hook and you see if there's a fish or an empty hook with a worm. But the game doesn't determine if you have a fish or not until the point that she pulls up the hook. So if you save just before that point and then you have a failure, you can quickly just reload until you have a fish. So here we'll type fish and I'll count 1, 2, 3 and do a quick save. So I'll quickly hit F5 and enter. And you can actually wait 4 seconds, especially since you'll have your live split timer going. And here I caught a fish on my first try. You can tell by this text box, which you'll be holding enter for. But say I had a failure, I can hit F7 enter to do a quick reload and try again, which I actually got 2 fish in a row, so that's pretty good luck. Once we get our fish, we'll jump off and start our island adventure. We can run into a shark on the next screen or any full ocean screen, so as we go over, we'll want to do a quick save. And we'll also want to make a save right before we get to Genesta's beach here. And that's because there's a feather we want to find, and it will spawn on any of the 6 beach screens around Genesta's Isle. But the game doesn't decide which screen it's on until you visit one of the beaches for the first time. So if you save right beforehand, and it's not on the first beach you find, you can just reload and do that until you find the feather. And so then we'll get the feather, and then we're going to want to find the whale. The whale can appear on any ocean screen after you've visited Lolotte for the first time. So from here, we can simply just go straight up, but we'll want to do a safety save before we do because there can also be sharks here. The whale can take up to 8 seconds to appear, and once he does, we can hold enter. And this bottle is totally worthless, so we'll just go straight to climb up the tongue path and say tickle. Now, more often than not, I'll be having a sound glitch during this part of the game, and if that's happening, Rosella will just tickle the uvula forever and ever and ever. But there's an easy solution. I just do a quick save, and that's always resolved the issue for me. So we'll do that here, and I'll hold enter and prepare a click a little left of the tongue's center and hit up. Now there's this spot here where we can both give the fish to the pelican and get the whistle without having to make two movements. And there's two ways to get there. The easier way is to go out and around the bones, but there's a more direct way to go up and over this bone here. It's a bit riskier though, because if you get too close to this bone that the pelican's on, it'll fly away immediately. If the pelican does fly away, you can just cycle the screen south. Note that you can't cycle the screen north, because as you walk past here, the pelican will fly away. So I'll just move to the pelican spot and say, give fish, and then get whistle, and then toot. And if we're fast enough, which I missed, we can say, look dirt before the dolphin pops up. You can also type look down, and then we'll go ride dolphin. So here we wait for a second, and once the dolphin moves, we can move. Pan can appear on this screen, so if you weren't able to get Pan before, you can go ahead and get him here. And now we'll find the unicorn, and I recorded that he was to the right, so we'll go just above this rock to the right, and then say shoot bow, hold enter to get through those, and then this is very particular about where you're standing. We'll say put bit, and you have to be standing right by the unicorn's head and in front of it, not behind it. And then we need to stand by the unicorn's body, and we can say ride horse. So during this chat with Lolotte, we can prepare a click for the chasm. And this is kind of nice because it takes away the need to do the chasm blindly. So what I used was the cracks in the floor of Lolotte's room. Next we're going to go find the fruit, and that's because it's one of 3 triggers to activate nighttime early. Nighttime will either occur if enough game time has passed, or if you have gotten the scarab, gotten the fruit, and you're in the Get Pandora's Box stage of the game. Since it takes, on the scale of hours for game time to reach that point, we'll just go grab the fruit because that's a lot faster. So we'll go up to the waterfall and say Dawn Crown. We'll get bored. We're going to want to save before going into this cave, and in fact we'll want to save before every screen in this cave, because if the troll gets you, you're just dead, so you'll just need to reload. In here we can stack bone. We saw him, so we ducked out. There are 2 routes you can take through the troll cave. The optimal one is going down because it lets you do more diagonal movement, but it's just full of obstacles and there's so much stuff you can bonk into and you have to do it blind that for me I prefer just going right because it's a lot clearer and simpler of a path. So I'll go ahead and move right and go halfway across the screen here and then down, save, and then here, given there's not a troll, we'll go down. We'll hit a rock, right, hit a wall, down, hit another wall, and then we'll go right. You don't actually have to go all the way until you hit the stuff. It's just, down some, right some, down some, then right. And we don't have to save before going to the chasm. Now here, hopefully we have our chasm click prepped. I've been wiggling my mouse around, so I don't have that, and I'm gonna guess it's right there. So here we can put board. We dismiss this box, walk to the right, then we'll dismiss and hit up right away. If you do that fast enough, you won't hit the wall like that. We'll go up and over to hit that loading zone. Then here we'll want to stand in front of these platforms, and we can type hop. hit space to do hop again, and just keep alternating those over and over. And actually, as you're hopping, you can be moving your mouse to prepare a mouse click. Where we'll be clicking, at least where I like to click, is these 3 black dots here. Here we'll do put it to put the board down. And then, like I said, I click these 3 dots, especially the first several times doing this. I definitely recommend a safety save there because moving across this board can be really dangerous. Then we can do play, pipe. And we can keep our mouse here actually because we can go straight over to get the fruit. Holding enter. And we'll want to click back and then click the bottom of this platform. Feel free to safety save there. We'll stack a get board and then start hopping again. And we can prepare another click. If you see this green dot in the bottom left of this platform here, that will prepare a click to cross back over the chasm. When we're at this last platform, we don't need to hop, we can just walk. So we can safety save just to be extra careful, but we have our prepped click, and when we do put it, should give us a perfect line, safety save. Now we'll just go back the way we came. Okay, so now we're gonna go to the ogre house. We'll want to diagonal across this screen. It's easy to bonk into this tree and those rocks, so be careful. And then on the next screen, we'll go down to the ogre house, and now we're in a state of the game that's the go find the hen state. And at this point, the first time we enter the ogre house screen, we'll see the ogress dragging a deer. And we could just wait for her to walk all the way into her house, or we can cycle the screen and get her to disappear immediately, like that. See that the male ogre can still appear when we come back. So just keep cycling until there's nobody here. So we'll go down and move up to the door. And when we open the door here, there's going to be a dog coming at us super quick, so you want to be prepared. We're going to dismiss a text box and hit the letter G right away. Like that. Give bone. So now that we're in the ogre house, we're actually on a timer before the ogre comes home. And because of that, intuitively, you'd think you'd want to run upstairs and grab the axe while you're waiting. But if you go upstairs, the game will add additional time. It'll set a 90-second timer before the ogre will come home. So all in all, you'll waste about an additional minute of waiting if you go upstairs first. So we'll go straight into the closet, and then we'll wait for a text box that says, you hear the ogre in the house. So while we're in the closet, we can't do anything right now, but when we look through the keyhole, we'll have some mouse preps we can set up. We can set up one, and you have a choice of what you want to do. One is to set up for leaving the ogre house. Historically, I've had a rough time with the positioning, so here we'll do look keyhole. And you can hold enter to skip about half these boxes. To position the mouse on the door, you'll want to aim for, if you see this little jut in the line around the middle crown nub, you can position kind of centered around that a bit. Alternatively, you can prepare a click to go through the evil trees. If you see this spike up, then spike down, then one line over, kind of in line with the top of this spike. That should be pretty close over here. That's if you're good with getting out of the ogre house without dying, which I'm not. So I'll be going over here to get that ready. So you'd want to hold enter until you get to this text box, which is unskippable. And so here we just wait until we regain control of Rosella, and we'll type open door. And then we'll go grab the hen. So dismiss that box, and then the hen is on a cycle moving back and forth, and when you first come out the door, it'll be heading to the right. So you may be able to go down and meet it at the right end of the table. I just go down and wait for it to walk back. And you do have to be at the same point as where it is at the table, so that won't work, but that will. Then I'll go up, use a stack to grab the axe with no E, and then I'm going to use my prepped click to, oh, that was actually a little too high, to get to the door. Could be a good idea to quick save there, because when you open the door, the hen's going to squawk, and the ogre is going to start running at you really fast. So we'll go to the right, and then use axe to scare the trees. And we can click this tree's right armpit. And that'll give us a beautiful diagonal across the screen, and also land us immediately into a loading zone to move to the next screen up. And that'll work as long as you're not super far down or super far up. It's pretty generous about where you're allowed to stand. So we'll go right and back to Lolotte. Can move up the path there. So now, while we're talking to Lolotte, we can prepare a click for the witch hut. Again, you have two options. One is if you want a click to get into the hut, and so that would be down here. I think just about there should be good. You can kind of center it in the middle of this black line there. Alternatively, if you want to prepare a click for getting the eye itself, you can line up the right nub on the crown with this white dot on this guy's back here. So basically, if you see this gray line on that step, the left and right crown pieces should be aligned there. So right about there should give you a good click. Maybe even a pixel or two down could also work. I'm actually going to be using my mouse to do diagonal movement before that, so I won't use either of those. By the way, so when we go here to get to the witch hut, we can go left, down, right, and that'll get us there right away. And to get a good lineup for entering the hut, you can see this line between the sand color and this brown color. You can click that. Here you'll want to safety save, because this will be a little dangerous. Inside the witch's hut, you're meant to have this witch chase you around the cauldron, and then you run up and grab the eye, but if you're fast enough, you can just run straight up and grab the eye right away. Where you want to click is right around here, kind of near this dark gray dot. You'll just want to make sure that you avoid the cauldron though, because if you get too close, a text box will appear about you burning yourself. So we'll give this a try now. And we'll want to type get eye. And you can see that the witch already started moving at us, so it is a pretty tight window. Once we hit get eye, there'll be a dismissible text box that we, for some reason, can't hold enter for, but we can hit enter once it's appeared. So when we do get eye, we'll hit enter twice and then immediately hit down. And that will give us clearance to get past this witch before she steps in front of us. Otherwise, you'll get trapped behind her and have to move around, and you don't want to do that. So we'll leave and come back and hold enter and do get charm. And here is another difference between any percent and 100%. To get some extra points, you need to give eye, but we don't need to do that for any percent. So we'll just go down. And here we can prep a click for the baby grave if we hold our cursor in this gap between trees here. So just about so. So yeah, we'll be doing the ghosts, and there's a ton of little screen warps we can do to save little bits of walking distance. So here on this screen, we'll want to go down, then left, and then come down here at as far right as we can, because we will get a tiny warp over. Here on these graveyard screens, we'll have zombies coming at us. If you just hold enter while they come at you, they'll just get dismissed right away, like that. So here we'll go left and down to cycle that screen. And unfortunately, we can't go straight to the baby grave. If we try to dig there, it'll tell us we don't know what we're digging for. But if we go into the mansion and just immediately leave, that will trigger a flag saying that we can now start digging for things. So first up is the baby. And so to get there, we can go here, and that'll give us a good line to get to the baby grave, as long as you're not right up against that thing like I was. And so when you dig, you do want to be careful. You do have some leniency with where all you can be. As long as any part of Rosella or the shovel is above the area of effect, I guess you could call it, of the grave, it'll work. But you only have 5 digs, and you need to get 5 things. So if you're wrong once, it's game over. So you do want to be pretty careful about where you dig, and feel free to use safety saves if you need /1, 2. So from the baby, we can go straight right, and that'll warp us down slightly in front of this rock. We can go down, back up, to jump over a little bit and open door. So now we'll run up to the baby. Getting in this door can suck sometimes. Have a text box there. Now, to give the rattle, you don't have to go up at all, actually. You can stay in this line, and as long as you're in a particular spot, which is just about there, you can give rattle. So now we'll leave and see the miser. And so the next 3 graves are all in line with this path here, which is right behind this wall. So that makes it really easy to line up. So we'll go left, walk until we get to the miser's grave and dig. And then here we'll go down and up to jump a little bit of distance, go over, down and up. We can go back in the door. Oops, open the door. So different people have different strategies for the miser ghost. If you go right, he'll be there. I think if you go left, he'll be there as well, but coming from the opposite side of the screen. But I think what most people do is go to one of those rooms and come back. Now, most people like going to the right and then kind of chasing him down, but that makes me a little bit nervous. So I like to go to the left, and then I meet him halfway. I do give bag. And that makes him happy. So next is the young woman. So we'll dig at her grave. Go left. Cycle screen down for... Yeah, some of those distances are almost negligible. Here, if you run up the stairs fast enough, you can actually not encounter that text box, but you can be holding enter. So here you go up and wait for her to materialize. And as soon as she starts materializing, you can do give locket. Now we'll leave and go to the Lord's grave and dig. Notice my shovel's above the grave, and that's fine. Now for the Lord, he can appear in any of the foyer, the den, the dining room, or the kitchen with about a 50% chance, I think, as long as you're not entering from outside. So you do have to go to a different room first. So again, people have different approaches for this. What I do is I basically just go left and cycle this foyer room and meet him. Oh, that was really fast. Give metal. Meet him in the center there. And yeah, sometimes it take a lot of tries and really take a lot of time. So next up is the boy, and he's the easiest grave to mess up. So to get to his grave, what I do is I go to this line between the brown and sand color here and go over. And this is a pretty good position because from here we can dig right away. But be very careful though, because if you're just a little too far down, you'll miss because this grave area is pretty small. So if you're not sure, just walk up to the grave like that, and you can be sure that you'll get the right area. So we'll go left, down, back up, open door, and then follow this kid up to the attic, climb. Here I click the left side of the box. We'll do give toy, open chest. Unfortunately, you can't call this a box. It'll be like, you don't see anything of interest in the box. So open chest and then look in it. Now here, the reason I click on the left side of the chest is because when we hit down, we'll hit the ladder and be safe. And this is generous. As long as it's anywhere on the left side of the box, you're good. If you are at the right side of the box and hit down, you'll fall and die. So be careful of that. So now we'll go to the stairs to go play some piano. So here we're going to want to save anytime we're on stairs, pretty much. Stairs are super deadly. So in case you didn't catch that, I clicked up on this section. Well, click onto the stairs, click this section here, then up into the black. Here I click this section and then up above the stairs. So that gives you some pretty smooth movement, which can be difficult in the stairs because they're super, super finicky. Here we will go left, and then I click this, the bottom of that checker pattern, and that'll get us close enough to sit. And here we have to say play sheet music. Unfortunately, if you just say play music, she'll play the wrong song, and that'll be huge time wasted listening to that and having to redo it. And you can't say play sheet or anything, so you just have to sit through that. So next we're gonna prep a click for the stairs, going back down the stairs, and that should be about right there. And then we just want to make sure we're holding enter by the end of the song, and then we'll get the key and get out of here. Get key, stand. Here I go left, down, right, down. Oh, my prep click was a little off, should be a little lower. If we click this black line down there, it should be good. Then if you see this line that doesn't quite all the way connect, I click the gap of gray there. Click over to the stairs over here and then down. And as soon as we clear this step here, we're free to jump off. Hitting the right arrow key. If we're above that step, if we jump off, we die. So now we'll navigate to this screen, the crypt, and we'll go down and up to jump over most of the screen, and then we'll click the bottom left. Oh wow, that was really unfortunate. Bottom left of that door to walk straight to the door. And we can do unlock door and open it. We need to interact with this rope, so I click to it. Some people just run straight at it, but if you fall off, you die, so pretty risky. Unfortunately, this moves us back, and we have to move back forward to get to the ladder. So I click again, hit climb, and then hold enter to quickly dismiss the mummy, move up to the box, get box. Say climb, and we'll jig down to hit the loading zone as far right as we can. Here we will jig down and yeah, go visit Lolotte again. So here we have our longest conversation with Lolotte. She will tell us we're getting married to Edgar and take away all our stuff. There's not really a mouse click to prep here because next we'll be having a little bit of a wait in Edgar's room, and we can prep a mouse click in there. So here we're just holding enter, but there are a lot of long text boxes that are not dismissible. So it's a bit of a wait. There I was holding enter still to dismiss a text box. And then we can wait down here at the door, and you'll know that you're in the right place when your feet are sticking out like that. And we can prep a click here at the corner of this dresser. That'll help us get down the stairs. And now we'll just wait for Edgar to come up and give us a key. Well, he'll give us a rose with a key on it. So here we can hold enter, say get key, unlock door, and open it. Here we'll want to do a quick save, go straight right, use our prepped click, and then click the bottom of this line down there. Click the stairs, click down. This guy won't give you any trouble unless you get super close to him. This guy will definitely give you trouble though. If you get super close to him, he'll wake up immediately. If you get kind of close to him and stay there for a little bit, he will also wake up. So we just want to maneuver into this door as quickly as possible. So I kind of dual wield the arrow keys to go over and then click at the door like that. I click on the barrel and then we can get all. Oh, not close enough. There we go. Here we can do a safety save because it's very easy to wake up the guard in this next movement. We want to jig out and around the Raven's post as quickly as possible. So like that. And then also hit right to go through the door. This guy isn't too bad. You just need to be down at the bottom of the screen. And this guy won't give you trouble unless you're doing something wild. So here I do a safety save, click that segment, and as soon as you clear this part of the stairs, you can click up into the black. On this screen, I click below this door frame here, and then into this brick section, about right there. And so you can use this intersection as a guide. And then we'll click this intersection and hopefully get a smooth movement up the stairs. Those can be the gnarliest of the stairs though. Here we'll want to align ourselves with the door. Personally, I click at this middle line and hit up. And if we get the right alignment, Rosella will automatically move straight into the room once you've opened the door. I'll say unlock door. It'll ask what key. We say gold. Open door. So she just automatically moved in there on her own. We can say shoot bow. And we'll hold enter through this. And we'll want to prep a click on this brick here, if you see with my left nub. So yeah, right there. And we can, we'll be just holding enter until we see Edgar blush. And once he moves away, we're free to move and do get amulet. And then hit right down. And then probably want to do a safety save, then left down. And so that click prep will allow us to click there. Make sure you err on the side of too far up than too far down, because if you click down here, you'll die. Then you can click this intersection. If you're doing 100%, you'll need to go through this door into the hallway and go grab the hen and Pandora's box, but we're not going to do that. So yeah, we're just going to click on that intersection, click there, hit up right, and then click below that line right at the edge. You can click the stairs there and down the stairs. If we jump off of the light colored stairs, we'll die, but once we're on the darker stairs, we're free to jump off and go through the door, and we'll make our escape. If you're doing 100%, you'll need to go into the stable and free the unicorn, but we can just head straight to the right. Here you can safety save, and I like to click this line, this patch of gray, this triangle, this patch of gray, and then the end of this line here, hit down. We can click the gray dot, hit left, and then make our way up to the top left of the screen. And here's the biggest deviation between any percent and 100%. So for any percent, we're just heading straight back to Genesta. For 100%, we'll need to go north to the crypt and return Pandora's box. I can link some information in the description for a route to do that, but here we're just doing the any percent route to get to Genesta as fast as possible. And we'll be using a lot of screen transition warps to get there. So here we'll go left, We're over on the right side of the screen over here, and we'll hit up, then left, then have a big warp when we hit down, hit left, and then we'll make our way over to this gap and hit down. Notice how we're in front of this bush. If we are too far to the right in this gap, we'll spawn in between the bushes and get stuck and have to do a little jig to escape. But if you're anywhere in the middle, you'll be fine. So from here, we'll go left, diagonal across this screen, but make sure you leave out of the left side. Then we'll go down, teleport with the Fisher House, and then we can go straight across to the left. Left again, do a safety save in case there's a shark, like that, and go straight across. Go down, down again. Then we get to this screen, which is pretty weird, because it has 3 loading screens that span the bottom of the island. So from about here to the edge, it'll take you to the right screen. From somewhere over here to the edge, it'll take you to the left screen, and then in the middle, it'll take you to the center screen. So we want to hit that center loading zone. And the actual boundary line is about there. But I like to aim for that segment there. So I just jig over and then go up. And so now we go up. Note that there is a peacock wandering around here sometimes that can get in your way. So just be wary of that. So we'll go up, dismiss that message, open door, go up the stairs, and then as soon as we're at the top of the stairs, we don't have to move to give the amulet at all. We can just do give amulet, and as soon as you enter in this command, that's time. And so yeah, that's the end of the game. I hope this was useful, and hope you enjoyed.